Okay, we're still on the bridge, and there is some beauty among the ugliness, and maybe that's what makes the beauty more special, you know? To see something beauty among a bunch of gnarly type vegetation, and I just love this view. Yeah, I love this view. It kind of reminds me, you know, some states, I think we can grow corn. I don't think we can grow wheat. I'm not sure about the corn folks, so don't quote me. But you know, those states, they enjoy these long fields of these plants that tower above them. These don't tower above you, but it's like a whole ocean of these type of plants. So it's the closest thing we can enjoy in Florida. Well, it may not be an island, but there is actually a lot of water. And now, let me see, can you get the bird? Trying to get that bird. You're not seeing the prettiest one. Okay, yeah, I think you're getting it. It makes a neat sound. I think that one's a female, and the females don't tend to have the best coloring. These birds can be beautiful. They're black, or the males at least are. They're black, and they have this bright red beak. And oh, maybe that one over there is a male. Let's take a look. Well, it's a little bit of a closer look. He doesn't. I think this is another female, unfortunately, so you can't see but you can see a bit of the contrast beak, or at least I hope you can. And there seems to be either a rock or a vegetation underneath the water. As you can see, there's plenty of water plants. So we're coming up on another bridge, and I'm hoping maybe I can find some fish. There's fish in these waters. Well, I don't know if you'll be able to see them. There are fish down there. Very tiny fish. We had some big ones before that were a little easier to see. Unfortunately, Florida water doesn't tend to be attractive either. You know, it's not blue like it is in some states. It's always this kind of sewagey brown yellow color. But I don't know if you'll be able to see the fish, but there are tiny fish down there. I don't know what they are. In some ways they look like catfish. Catfish are very popular. They are good eating, and that is true, they are actually good eating. Okay, so they're showing some pictures of the type of birds, the March before restoration, and some birds that are supposed to be here, the tricolored heron, the wood stork, the blue-winged teal, the osprey, which looks like a bird of prey, and the marsh after restoration. Okay, the site you see today looks vastly different from what it looks like in the spring of 1999. In order to restore the historic ambiance of Snake Warrior Islands as a watery refuge surrounding two elevated islands, the Broward County Parks and Recreation Division and the Broward County Office of Environmental Services joined forces to resolve a local flooding problem and restore the historic wetlands. Through a system of culverts, berms, and water control structures, Snake Warrior Island has become a storage area for excess water during major storm events. Pre-treated storm water enters the site and doesn't leave until a set elevation is attained. In the lower land elevations, exotic vegetation was removed and the soil was contoured to create a freshwater marsh system. Thousands of native wetland plants were then introduced to recreate the historic vegetative wetlands. As a result of the restoration, many species of resident and migratory birds visit this site daily. It is not uncommon to see groups of wood storks searching the shallows, ospreys circling overhead, and a variety of wading birds foraging for food. Mottled ducks, blue-winged teal, and ring-necked ducks are regular winter visitors, and turtles may often be observed sunning themselves or patrolling their surroundings. To complement the restoration, public access features were added. A parking lot was constructed and a meandering walkway with seating areas and interpretive signage was added for visitor education and appreciation. I thought that was actually kind of funny. We wanted this area to look natural, like the way it used to be. So we dug everything up and replanted it. No, I get their point though. Florida has gotten a lot of, just as we get a lot of tourists as far as people, we've gotten a lot of vegetation that doesn't actually belong in our environment, so, which is a constant concern. I always like these type of palm trees. You can't really see it on this guy too well, but when they grow, they have this interlocking structure, kind of this basket weaving look. And then the stuff peels off for the bark below, to reveal the bark below. But they're really gorgeous when they have their basket weaving bark. Alright, sorry folks, my tablet jammed there. Okay, and out there you can see a stork. And, man, you always think, God, do those things ever get a crink in their neck? I hate to be them and get whiplash. So, very beautiful. I'm sorry I don't have a zoom feature, so you can get a closer look. When I look at birds like this, I once heard this theory that the dinosaurs didn't go extinct, but a lot of them evolved into birds. And I have to admit, when you look at a creature like this, it's not that hard to believe. I mean, you kind of wonder how they downsized a bit, in size, but, you look at this and it's kind of got a brontosaurus, like if a brontosaurus and a pterodactyl or something made love, I can almost vision, what it was like all those years ago when dinosaurs roamed the earth. But fortunately, unlike dinosaurs, this guy's not going to come and eat me. So, that makes this park incredibly safe. Of course, Steven Spielberg or anybody else is not going to be able to make movies about it, but I can live with that. But as you can see, it's a pretty big park, and it's got areas for seating if you get tired. No bathroom, but as far as I know, which does distress me sometimes. But you can still see we're quite close to civilization by the phone lines over there. This is probably a weed. These little flowers grow in our yards a lot. Kind of a pain in the butt to mow. But when you get a lot of them, it can almost be kind of very festive. They always come out about fall, winter. And they're very festive looking, kind of. For Florida, we don't get snow, so when these things cover the ground, sometimes we can pretend it's snow. But, not cold. I was hoping to show you this amazing red plant that was really pretty, but it looks like it's not in bloom at the moment, so that's unfortunate. But there were other flowers that are in bloom. Okay, Anglo-European settlement. A bunch of scrawled up, this is supposed to be a map of Snake Warrior Island with a bunch of terrible handwriting. Okay, as early as 1843, settlers had made claim to the island, but no settlement was attempted. By 1896, however, white pioneers had claimed most of the lands that encompassed the Snake Creek settlement and forced the Seminoles off the property through a series of court decisions. The settlers often called this site Guava Key, reportedly because of a large quantity of guava trees that had been planted by the Seminoles. Owned by the state of Florida until 1908, the property was transferred to a Mr. Brewer for citrus cultivation, and it was transferred again to a Mr. Hobbs in 1913. Roscoe Fritchie, a pioneer Everglades farmer, visited and farmed the island possibly as early as 1914. According to Fritchie, the island was commonly known as the Cuban boat landing because it was widely believed that sugarcane syrup kettles and other artifacts abandoned by the last Seminole occupants were evidence of Cubans and Spaniards who were thought to have lived on the island. Fritchie also reported that a boat landing and alligator hunters once existed here. In the mid-1940s, the island was bulldozed of most of its native vegetation, and in 1947 a hurricane eroded some of the exposed soils. In that same year, Henry D. Perry and his wife Annabelle bought the land, built a home there, and used it as a dairy farm and for citrus cultivation. The Perry family maintained the property for agricultural use until 1987 when they sold it to developers. I'm going to cut in here. We have a school named after Henry D. Perry. It's called Perry Middle School. So, earmarked for housing development and a shopping center in 1989, the project never got off the ground. 3 years later, spurred on by renewed civic interest in the property as an archaeological historical site, the land was rezoned to residential only. An option to purchase a 30-acre portion was obtained by the Trust for Public Lands. The state of Florida then purchased the entire tract in July 1992, forever preserving its heritage.